hit that notification button. Don't forget to share this video with your fellow veterans. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dwayne Kimball, United States Army veteran and retired VA rating specialist. Welcome to tonight's monthly live Q&A session with me. I have a special guest I'm going to bring on in a few minutes, a fellow veteran that I work with, educating other veterans on the VA claims process. He has some events coming up, and he's going to share that information with you. So tonight's event. What evidence should you submit with your VA compensation claim? Okay, so I'm going to touch on that a little bit before I get into the Q&A. Also, I want to announce we have a few seats left for our webinar, four-day event next week, how to win your VA compensation claims. A lot of veterans have reached out to me and said, Dwayne, you did this presentation last July. When are you doing it again? So what we're going to do this year, myself and my team, we decided we're going to do this event 4 times a year. It's going to be the second month of every quarter. Okay. Last year we had over 500 people sign up for this event. I will be sharing the link where you can sign up. We only have about 5 seats left, and I will not be extending it. Last year, I was only going to do 100 seats, and people kept saying, I want to get in, I want to get in. We got up to 500. I am capping it this year. Also, I would like to announce May 1st, we are going live with our monthly veteran membership. Okay. You can sign up. I'm going to be going live twice a month, and you're going to have videos. Some of the information, you will see videos on my YouTube channel, but 85 to 90% of the information and the way I'm sharing it, I do not share it this way on YouTube. Okay. I'm going to be sharing a lot of things with you that I've seen from the inside as a former VA Raider. For those of you that don't know, I was trained by the VA. Okay. So in the group, it's going to be a group session, and we're going to do 2 live events a month. I'm going to do a Q&A along with a block of instruction on something. So one day it might be, okay, we're going to go through the 8 pages of the VA Form 21-526CZ. We may even go through the RVSR hearing transcript when the VA decides to do a proposal to reduce, so you understand that, okay? That's critical. The only way you're going to get educated and really know this stuff is from myself and my team that were trained by the VA, because we are going really deep into it. Now, you may say, Dwayne, what is going to be the difference between your services and the veteran group? I'm going to go ahead and answer that question. Our educational services on our website, you get the one-on-one. Okay, you get the one-on-one. It is not a group session. It's customized and it's one-on-one. The group, we're going to be one-on-one in the group. Okay, but when you sign up, you're going to have a lot of videos to watch. They're going to be really short. Okay, they're not going to be as long as the ones on YouTube, but they're going to be short, direct, and to the point. Trust me, you will not go wrong by signing up. Okay, so throughout this hour, I'm going to be sharing the link to those events in the comment section. I already did it, but I'm going to be sharing more of the comment section. Also, April 20th, mark your calendars. Okay, myself and David Piatek, for a lot of you that join our live streams where we're talking about VA compensation claims and VA home loans, David Piatek, we are going live for 12 hours, and we challenged ourselves. Okay, we challenged ourselves to try and answer 1,000 questions in 12 hours. Now, Also, you want to make sure you sign up. We got 23 slots. I think, wait a minute, probably only have 21 slots left because my guests I'm going to bring on and somebody else I see in the comment section, they've already taken those slots. Okay. So you want to make sure you sign up. When you sign up, you're going to fill out a form, list 3 questions and some other information, and we're going to bring you on live for 15 minutes. Okay. So we may only be able to get to 2 or 3 questions. If you got 15 questions, we're not going to be able to get to that in 15 minutes. Okay. But we're going to bring you on live. All right. So no more sitting in the comments. You're going to come on live. All right. So without any further ado, I am going to bring on my guest this evening. And we have Mr. Rod Cunningham. He was on, I believe, back in January, and he is coming back on this evening. Rod, how are you doing?
Doing well, Dwayne. How are you?
Hey, I can't complain. I can't complain. Thank you for coming on, jumping on for a few minutes. Rod, before we even get into questions of what you're going to speak about tonight, just tell everybody a little bit about yourself. I know some people went back and watched the live that we did back in January, but for all the new veterans out there, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Dwayne. Thank you so much for having me once again. It's a pleasure to be here on your channel. My name is Rod Cunningham, 29-year retired Air Force Chief Master Sergeant, retired out of Biloxi, Mississippi, Keesler Air Force Base. Moved into, after retirement, kind of chilled for a while for about a year, and then decided to become the vice president of the Pinellas County Urban League. So I did that for a few months, for a few years, wrote a book, and decided to build a business around that book.
All right. Well, Rod, thank you for that. And we'll go ahead and get into some questions. I'm going to ask Rod some questions. But also, Rod, before we get into this Q&A, you do something special for veterans, not only here in Florida, and you've been doing this for over 2 years now. Can you explain and give some feedback on what you're doing as it pertains, for the veteran community and veterans that are going through this VA claims process?
Yes, thank you, Dwayne. What we do is I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity, which is a different fraternity than Dwayne's fraternity, but it's all love, no doubt. And so I serve as the Florida's Military Affairs Chairman. And I got with the other chairs in Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi, which makes up our district, the 7th district. And we decided that we were going to actually put on an event every single week. We were going to focus on veterans and their mental health. We're going to focus on veterans and their spiritual health. And then we're going to talk about the compensation of disability and compensation. And Dwayne, you've been kind enough to be there from the very beginning. So we started this over almost 2.5 years ago, and we do it each and every Thursday at noon. We're even there on Thanksgiving, so we don't miss a Thursday. And you've been on every single week, answering questions as subject matter expert. We have another subject matter expert just in case you're on vacation, right? So we have backup, but we're just there to serve veterans and give veterans the information that they need. I know when I retired, when I was retiring, I didn't quite know how the steps were going to go. My chief friends who were retiring or retired, they were still going through the process. So nobody was really doing any of the education. I remember going to the bookstore or the clothing sales store and that little book rack they have there. And I'm looking, I'm like, where are the books? How do you know what to do here? So I stumbled and struggled through that, had to ask actually some of my fraternity brothers what to do next in that process. And so I figured if we, created this platform, which we get about 35 to 60 people on each and every week. We've actually helped families. The subject matter experts have helped families bring in an extra $820,000 a year in the 2.5 years we've been doing this. And so it's just been phenomenal. It's gotten a lot of attention from from a lot of big wigs and veterans and so on and so forth. So it's really been great for our veterans. That's the main thing. We don't do it for any recognition. We just do it because it's the right thing to do.
Right. Well, thank you for doing that, Robin. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of that. And everyone, this event is free. Okay, it's free. You get on Zoom. The only thing you have to do is invest your time. Okay, the Q&A part for the VA compensation, it starts what, Rod? 12:30,
Yeah, about
12:35.
12:30 Eastern time. So so if you come on at 12, you're going to get that spiritual piece, 10 minutes of a spiritual talk, 10 minutes of mental health. I'm the mental health expert, so I'll do a mental health talk that day. And then right around 12:35 is when I bring on Dwayne and our other subject matter expert.
Right, 'cause a lot of people ask me, where do you be at online?" I'm like, "You all have to follow the links. I share them as, as much as, I can, and most importantly, it's free. You gotta invest that time, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and move forward. We got a few questions, that we're gonna ask Mr. Rod Cunningham. The first question, Rod, is what inspired you to get started helping people write their books and getting paid to get on stage and tell their stories?
So when I retired, I just remember leaving the military and having all of this anxiety, like, what am I going to do? And so I decided I wanted to be a speaker because as a chief, we speak all the time on base. Decided I wanted to be a speaker as well as a life coach. And then once I learned about speaking, I was told that a lot of people, a lot of planners, conference planners, they don't book speakers, they book authors who speak. So I became an author. So I wrote a book, became an author. And so over 6 years after finishing my book, it took a long time for me to, I started speaking at elementary schools, then I moved to middle schools, then high schools, then colleges, and then now I speak at corporations. And that 6 years it took me to go from elementary schools all the way up to corporations. I can teach that in 6 months. I can teach people how to get paid $5,000, 6,000, 7. One of my clients, Bob, he's a 69-year-old retired McDonald's executive, and he had never been paid to speak. He asked me to help him write his book. I helped him write the book. Now Bob is getting $8,300 for a 10-minute speech that I actually negotiated for him. And so my wife and I, when we decided that this is what we wanted to do after working with Bob and getting him, from writing that book to getting on stage and telling his story, we kind of take this as like discipleship, right? Because there are people out there in the world that I'll never touch, but you will. And so we encourage people to tell their story. Your story is a special story, however, there's 10 million people with the exact same story. You made it out, and they need to know how to make it out too. And so you can speed up their process of getting through some of the roughest times in their life because you've already been through it. Now you're talking about it in your book, and now you're speaking about it. You're getting paid $5,000 plus to speak about it on stage, and you're saving lives. And we just are happy to be a part of that journey with you.
But that's awesome, because when I wrote my book, VA Claim Success, last year, I was kind of nervous about it. But, once I got into it and I would, I would record a video. I'd go on live stream and just record a private video. And I just started talking about the VA claims process. And I didn't think the book would be that impactful as what it has been thus far, based on the feedback that I've gotten from veterans. They're like, "Hey, I'm stuck at 90%. I've been following you on YouTube for a year or so, and now all that helped me get to 100%." And some of these people I never talked to on the phone, but that was enough. That information was enough to get them where they needed to be in the VA claims process. So thank you for sharing that, Rod. So how do you do this? Do you have some process? Did what have you implemented or come up with to help people to tell their story on stage and be able to sell their, if they have a book, be able to sell those books or products from the stage?
So good question. So people come to us with three types of book ideas because that's what we want. We want you to come to us with an idea. We are more of a boutique style publishing company. We don't want you to come with a manuscript and say, "Hey, publish this." No, we want you to come with an idea, and then we want to help you craft that idea. So three ideas people bring to us. Number one is their experience or their skill. So if I've been married for 30 years, I might want to write a book on relationship. Been in the Air Force for 29 years, I might want to write a book on leadership, right? Who needs another leadership book?
Mhm.
If I've been in IT for 15 years, I want to write a book on IT security. So that's the first book. The second book is telling their story. Now, most people, they don't even know they have a story, but we help them craft that by looking at number one, your parents, your relationship with your parents. Did your parents divorce when you were younger? How did that affect you? How did you come out of that, right? Some people get very angry and fight and or get very sad and retreat. And so now they're successful and they've come out of that. Well, how did you do that? Because there's 10 million kids who are in the exact same spot right now that you were in when you were a child. We talk about parental abandonment. We talk about loss. How did you get through that loss of a grandparent, of a friend who died in a car accident, of a sibling, right? How did you get through that loss? The other one is trauma. How did you get through the trauma of being touched inappropriately? How did you get through the trauma of flipping over in a car accident? How did you get through the trauma of seeing your father strike your mother? And the last one is rejection. We talk about how people are rejected because maybe they have a handicap, or maybe they're rejected because of the color of their skin, or maybe they're rejected from their sibling who told them they were adopted and mama found them in the garbage can and brought them home. So that's a real thing, by the way. Or you were rejected in a relationship that you really thought you were going to marry this person, only for the person 6 months later to start dating your best friend. So these are things that I actually bring out of you in our conversation to find out, what is that story? How did you come out of it? Right? And then how can you teach others to be successful emotionally as you were? And so we actually we start there in phase one, and then we create I help you create a manuscript. I actually assign you a coach that will coach you for 10 sessions to help you create that manuscript and get unstuck, because people do get stuck. They get unstuck. So that coach, we also provide you with the opportunity to speak your book. So, Rod, I don't have time to write. Pick up your phone, go into the voice memo and speak your book and email me. I just got some emails about an hour ago of my clients sending me the chapter 1 or chapter 2 of their book that they spoke. Then we move that over to once we have the manuscript, right? Whether you spoke it, whether you've been coached through it, or whether we helped you to kind of formulate it, we move that over to phase 2. In phase 2 is where we do the editing. There's 4 types of editing: developmental editing, copy editing, line editing, and proofreading. And so we help you with that editing piece. We actually will do your front matter about the author, about the book, about the copyright page, right? And then we do your book cover. So we do all of those things because it took me 3 months to figure out what my cover was going to be. Well, we do all of that for you, and then we publish the book. So after phase 2, you now have a published book. Then we move you over to phase 3. Most people only sell 250 copies of their books in a lifetime. I sold 20,000 copies. How many have you sold there, Dwayne, in your year?
It hadn't been a year yet, and I'm probably approaching about 1,500.
Yeah. So, and again, most people sell 250, and that's because they put up stuff on Facebook, right? They put up a post, and then people buy a book and put up another post, and about a month later, they put up the 4th post. Somebody says, "We know you got a book," and then you start posting.
Yeah.
So we teach you how. I sold 1,000 books to one client. And so we teach you how to sell multiple books to one client versus, one book at a time. So that's in phase 3. We teach you how to market that book. And then we teach you now how to become a paid motivational speaker. And so we give you all the tools you need in phase 3. And so you get all of those tools. So now when someone says, hey, well, can you speak for us? Send me your materials. All professional materials go straight out to them. Video, your one sheet, all those things. We do all of that for you. And then the last phase, phase 4, is I become your booking agent. So you don't even have to deal with the client and negotiate back and forth. I can do all of that for you and help you lay out your fees properly so you don't miss out on so you don't leave money on the table, or you don't get taken, if you will, because you went in too low. So we teach you all of that structure.
Right. So everybody, don't go anywhere. We got one last question for Rod, and then I'm gonna get into the Q&A part. I'm gonna get through your questions. So don't go anywhere. So lastly, Rod, after all that, what is the next step? You know, if people say that they're kind of on the fence and something's holding them back, what is the next step? And they say, okay, I want to work with Mr. Rod Cunningham. And I've been putting, I did put Mr. Cunningham's Empower Your Success. If you want to talk about that event you got coming up, Rod, and I've been putting that in the comment section. So if people want to move forward, what are the next step?
Yes, so they can go to influencelive.com/KMD. Did you put that in the chat there?
I did.
Awesome, awesome. So we're actually having a 4-hour live webinar on Sunday. Is that the 14th, right? Sunday the 14th.
This coming up Sunday? This coming up Sunday is the 7th.
Next Sunday,
yeah, the 14th.
We're going to have a live event, 4 hours, and we're going to teach you all of the things that I just talked about. From A to Z, we're going to teach you all of those things and how to not only write a book, market the book, but also how to get on stage and get paid anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 for one speech.
Wow.
And so that's what that 4-hour event is going to be about.
But that is awesome. That is awesome. Well, Mr. Cunningham, thank you for coming on, sharing your upcoming event. I know it's going to be a huge success for everyone that's tuned in tonight, and everybody is going to see this. I put the link in the comment section where you can sign up for Mr. Cunningham's event, Empower Your Success. Okay, so if you got a story, and think about it this way, if you have a story and you tell that story, it possibly could help somebody else if they're going through some type of trauma, like Mr. Cunningham had mentioned. But if you feel comfortable, and putting yourself out there, it's not a negative thing, but just think of maybe your pain can help somebody else's pain. So again, Rod, Mr. Cunningham, thank you for coming on. Definitely appreciate it. Also, if anyone wants the link for the Thursday, reach out to me. Also, I'll go back and I'll put it in the description section of this live stream. And it is free. You just have to invest the time. And it's 12:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay? All right. So, Mr. Cunningham, thank you. You're more than welcome to hang out if you want to for a little bit. I'm gonna tackle some of these questions we got tonight.
Awesome.
So you feel free if you want.
And again, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for what you do, Dwayne. Well, thank you for what you do for veterans, because again, what you have done for our channel, but for our weekly conference call is just tremendous for households. When people who did not say anything on the call for a year and a half, and I know the guy, and he was my counterpart from the state of Mississippi. He was on the call each and every week and did not say that he was working with you. And one day he says, I went from 10% to 100%. And I go, get out of here. I couldn't even believe it. I didn't even know that he was working. It was mind blowing. But just that 10%, he's been out for 20 years. He goes from 10% to 100% after working with you. I just thought that was amazing. And yeah. So we get stories like that all the time from the call. So thank you for what you do.
Okay. So yeah, feel free to stick around, Rob. We may have some questions for you. Uh, so I'll go ahead and get into the Q&A, and I will give everyone a few extra minutes this evening. So first question, Harris, what I was awarded 60% rating for GERD on August 24. I'm assuming 2023 because we haven't got to August 2024. I was awarded 30% for IBS on December 12th. I'm assuming December 24th, 2012. However, due to the rules in place, the IBS was added to the GERD. Yes, Harris, because they cannot, that would be pyramiding. Okay, so they're going to give you the highest of the two when they do that. Allowed for GERD by 60% rating was continued without any additional rating. For IBS, the new rules, which take effect in May, separate GERD, IBS into two separate categories. Can I request the rating for IBS now be applied independent? They are currently independent. Okay. If so, how do I accomplish that? Will the request have any negative impact? Okay. So I know where you're going with this, Harris. You're putting the cart before the horse, because first you have to understand what is pyramiding. For example, the VA cannot grant you 30% for PTSD and 30% for depression. It's pyramiding. Okay. So I read a little bit of that, and I'm going to do a upcoming YouTube video on it when I finish that research. But you have to keep that in mind, and you have to go back and look at the rating scheduler and look at the diagnostic codes. So if they mention those two diagnostic codes, they still can't, they still have to be combined. Okay. So I haven't went out to the rating schedule to see, well, it won't, they probably won't update it. I think it's May 19th that it's going into effect, if I'm not mistaken. But you first have to look at pyramiding. Okay. You have to, just because they're changing the criteria doesn't mean that they're saying, okay, now we can break those out. And like I said, I haven't finished my research on that, so I don't want to dive too deep in it, but start your research right now with understanding what pyramiding is. And thank you for logging in early, for those putting those questions in. I'm currently at 90%, 91% combined, and 30% would get me to the 100. So you're thinking, oh, they break those out. I'm at 95%. What you should be thinking is, oh, let me call 800-827-1000 and get a copy of my disability breakdown letter to include my diagnostic codes to see, oh, can I get an increase in something other than the IBS and GERD? Can I claim something secondary? That's one of Miss Cunningham, that's one of your favorite ones, secondary conditions, okay? And look at that, and then think about things that you may have went on sick call for that you haven't claimed to get from that 91 to 95, and don't count on just that IBS and GERD breaking out, because if it falls under pyramiding, you're not going to get it. Okay. And again, here's the link to my monthly veterans membership group. Now, up until May 1st, it's going to be 50% off. Use the code VET50. After May 1st, it goes back to regular price. So you got all month, if you want to think about it, to get it half off, and it's going to be that amount every month. Okay. But after that, it goes back to full price. This is the link. Also, next week from April 8th to the 11th, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live webinar. I did it last year. We had over 500 people sign up. So I'm keeping it a lot smaller this year, because the last night we had over 100-something people, about 150 people, and I stayed on an extra 2 hours to answer questions. I'm not doing that, but I'm keeping it small. We're still going to do a Q&A at the end, but it's not going to be 100 or some people. All right. Twisted, welcome back, sir. And M21, it says that a veteran can request an early effective date of up to 1 year if due to law change. How does a veteran put this request in? I don't know the 38 CFR, the number, but it is called liberalizing law. Okay, so twist it, go back to the M21 manual reference and do a search, like a Google search. And for those of you that don't know how to do it, I have a video on my YouTube channel where I'm showing you how to do a search in the M21 manual reference. So Twisted put liberalizing in there, hit enter, and that's going to talk about that 1 year rule that you mentioned here. Hey, Rod, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat right quick, and I know you know this. So I know you state in the Thursday groups you talk about you talk about them secondary conditions. When did you find out about those secondary conditions?
On the call. I've never heard of secondary conditions until we started that call, and you and the other subject matter expert would talk about, kind of stacking, right? Where
Mm,
if you have flat feet, if you've been rated for flat feet, and then it's been 10 years later, now you have bad knees, go to the doctor and tell the doctor, did you have flat feet? And they're going to be able to connect the flat feet to the bad knees. Oh, by the way, my back hurt, I have back pain. And now I
mm.
can relate that to my bad knees, right? And now I'm having headaches because of my backache. And so now I can be rated for all these things when only the flat feet was in my records while I was active duty.
Right. And so again, folks, we get a little bit deep in those conversations because a lot of vets that come on there, they got questions and they don't know this stuff. And Mr. Cunningham just told you before the call, he didn't know what secondary conditions was. I think we were just talking about it one day, and you start talking about it. And one thing I noticed with Mr. Cunningham from beginning when I was on one of the first calls to now, his VA language, he's able to speak it. He's able to speak it just by being on there listening, asking questions, listening to what other questions individuals are asking, and then our responses. So he knows what an intent to file is. He knows how to go about doing an intent to file. The secondary
1
condition.
800 827 1000.
There it is. There it is. There it is. All right. I appreciate that, Rod. All right. So BC and NHLR now overrating. VA has all evidence. Now they want a new CMP. Other diagnoses have been developed since, and I'm filing soon. Should this be discussed in CMP exam or perhaps refused exam? You know, you got to understand, one, why you're refusing the exam. Two, if a decision review officer at a high level review requests a CMP exam, that's not a bad thing, but you need to understand why. And you should have had that conversation during that high level review if you had an informal conference. I'm assuming that you did. Okay. But understand, one, you got to understand what the exam is for. Two, educate yourself on the diagnostic code criteria so you know which percentage your symptoms fall under. And three, be able to reasonably articulate that to the CMP examiner. Now, I talk sometimes about why I refused the exam. I had actionable and sufficient DBQs. Now, some people will tell you, oh, if you have a DBQ in the Nexus, you have to go to a CMP exam. But what they're not telling you under 38 CFR 3.256 subpart B and subpart C, it states if the VA has evidence to adjudicate the claim, no further exam is necessary. Okay, but a lot of the employees are not following that. So just understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and at the end of the day, if you refuse an exam, it is up to you. Okay, so I don't tell anybody to go or not go, but understand, especially if you don't go, understanding why and what 38 CFR it falls under, or why you're not going. Okay, Shirley Lee had a consultation with Dr. Freeman yesterday. He and his staff were helping me get to that 100%. He told me to give you a thumbs up on the next event. Yep, had Dr. Freeman on. We talked a little bit about one of the questions I asked him was sleep apnea secondary to a mental condition. Okay. And I got an upcoming video where I am talking about sleep apnea secondary to a service connected condition using an intermediate step. Okay. So I'm going to be showing you the M21 manual reference and give you a discussion and also some things I saw when I worked at the VA. Now, I tell people, because people ask me, they say, hey, Dwayne, well, what is it that you do? How do you know this information? I was trained by the VA. Now, I'm not saying anybody that was not trained by the VA, like Mr. Cunningham, he wasn't trained by the VA. But now, listening to me, listening to some of the other subject matter experts, he's able to not only speak the VA claim language, but understand it and apply it. And then that's where a lot of veterans they go wrong. Okay. So again, in this monthly membership that I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to be talking about things I've seen on the inside. I'm going to be talking about VA employee quotas, VA employee insurance that we had to get on our jobs, other things, submitting too much evidence because that's a thing. You submit too much evidence. And I'm going to also talk about the VA cloud. How does your claim get to the VA cloud? Okay. That is a thing. How does your claim get kicked down the road like it can? These are things that I'm going to be explaining in my videos, in my live streams, only in the membership. Okay. So make sure you check that link and get signed up, get that 50% off. LJ, 100% permanent total. Congrats. Open HLR for pain, submitted signed letter, and VA 08220 forms to withdraw claim within past 7 months. No response. So I submit fifth. I think they got the gist of it, LJ. But yes, you can withdraw a VA claim. So what it sounds like what LJ did, hey, I got my 100% PNT, all those other claims that I had pending, I want to withdraw. I don't want to mess with them. So anyone, I'm going through these questions. Make sure if you got some questions for Mr. Cunningham about his upcoming event, Empower Your Success, getting a book. He's been gracious to stick around. So if we have any questions for him, definitely drop them in the comment section. All right, Dito girl, what's up, DK from San Antonio? Should I go for the 0% service connected disability? One thing, you know what, Rod, I'm gonna let you take this one because I heard you talk about this. I want to say a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, okay, okay, I hear you, Rod. So should a veteran go after 0% service connection?
So, I mean, once you're 0%, that gives you more access to the VA. And so because you are rated, you're just at 0%. And then what you have to do is look at what does it take to get the 10% rating or the 20% rating or the 30% rating. So they give you the cheat sheet, if you will, to say, hey, if you had mentioned these things or if you have these things in your records, then you can get the 10, 20, or 30%. And so I think it's key to understand that, going in, read up. I had an app called My VA Benefits app. And I would look at that app probably every day. I probably spend, 10, 15 minutes a day for 2 years before I retired, looking at that app, trying to figure out the things that's going on with my body. And is it in the app? Can I get paid for this? Is there a cough in the app? So I want to know what all the things I could claim because I was surprised I couldn't claim dental stuff. But I digress. Well, yes, you can go for the 0% as you're going through, and sometimes you're going to go for the 20 or 30%. You're going to end up with 0. So I wouldn't shoot for 0. I would shoot for something higher just in case they give it to you lower.
Right. And people think 0% is a bad thing. 0% is not a bad thing because once you get it, let's just say 10 or 12 years from now, it gets worse. You don't have to go through that process all over again. It's just a simple increase. And like Rod said, understanding what the criteria is for the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So detail girl, going after that 0%, you'll have to make that decision. It's not a bad thing. Just make sure you know what you're doing when you do it. Okay. Mike Smith, I'm currently diagnosed with migraines and take real packs. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. While in service, my service treatment records only show multiple chronic headaches. And you cut off there. Let's see. I think I see your other question down here. Yeah, here it is. Should I claim this service connected, service related, or secondary? Okay. So, Mike, in the book, I talk about the 5 ways of service connection. Direct service connection, you need a current diagnosis. Then you need a link in service. So you got those 2. 3, you need a nexus, meaning you file a claim. If you don't get a DBQ and nexus from a private doctor, then you go to a C&P exam, and then they give you the nexus. Now, you can also, if you, let's say, for instance, your service connect for tinnitus, you can also at the same time claim migraine secondary to tinnitus. Okay, you could do that all at one time, but you're going to have to be able to explain that when you go to that C&P exam. And they should schedule or they should request a direct service connection and secondary service connection opinion. LJ submitted clothing allowance for 2024 this month with VA confirmed receipt. When would I expect review payment? How does double payment work? Okay. I have a video on that, LJ. What you're asking is on the hospital side under prosthetics. You get 4 clothing allowances. Okay. They did something different last year. If you were getting a clothing allowance, let's say you were getting 2 clothing allowances last year. This year, you don't have to reapply. You're still going to get 2, but contact your prosthetics department at your local VA. Okay. I go online and do a little bit of research, not a lot. That is on under VHA, Veterans Healthcare Administration. And I never worked on that side. Chris, y'all, there's about to be 12-hour Q&A. Rod, this is actually Chris that showed up a couple of weeks ago on Thursday, and he's coming on the live with you because we're going to have both of Rod and Chris signed up, so we're going to have them guests in their 15-minute slots. Rogers, Green, I currently have a claim open and just found out I have another secondary condition. When I submit this claim, will the effective date go back to my original intent to file? No. You get one intent to file for one claim form. When you file an intent to file, I think I just talked about this on a video. When you have an intent to file and then you do a claim form, a prescribed claim form, and then you come back and do another intent to file and another claim form, that second claim form goes with the second intent to file, and the first intent to file goes with the first claim form. Okay. I have a video, Mr. Green, on effective dates. Effective dates can be tricky. Okay. Mike, should I claim? Okay, we already talked about that one. Twisted. Can musculoskeletal conditions be claimed secondary to mental health due to obesity, or is the fight for that too complicated? I've seen it. You don't see it that often, but keep in mind, you have to be able to explain it. So I'm going to be doing a video. I think it's come out Friday where I'm talking about sleep apnea secondary to a service-connected condition and doing using the intermediate step. So the M21 that I share, look at it, okay, and figure out how your situation fits. Now I'm talking about obesity, but you mentioned obesity. So I would say if your mental condition somehow prevents you from working out, where you're just totally depressed and you're just eating all the time, okay, and you cause weight. Now the weight is you're heavier than what you used to be, and now your joints hurt. Okay, so look at that M21 manual reference and figure out your situation. Okay, because I get I'm just touching the surface, but deep down how to reasonably articulate that. But look at that M21 first and come up with a game plan. Okay, so I hope that helped, Twisted.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Rod.
So when a veteran says that, hey, I served for 3 years and hardly ever went to the doctor, I just kept sucking it up, and it's been 15 years ago, what are some of the things that they can get started with, especially when it comes to mental health, right? Some of the things that may have happened that they didn't realize affected their mental health. A lot of people start drinking when they join the military. A lot of people miss funerals when they join the military and things of that nature. How can they connect those?
What the mental condition
Yeah, so
from service?
how can they say, well, hey, depression is not in my records, but I can show you when I lost a parent, right? And
Right.
I got depressed and I started drinking. They can show that, but it's not in their medical records, but they can link the two. How can they do that effectively?
Right. So one thing, let's look at PTSD. You have to have a stressor, a confirmed stressor. Okay. And some of those stressors are what you just talked about. I lost a parent and I started drinking, and it could led to something else like Article 15. That's a stressor. Got a divorce, started getting bad counseling statements. That is a stressor. Okay. But it has to be confirmed. When it comes to PTSD, military sexual trauma, and is not reported, they have what is called markers. And the threshold for PTSD under military sexual trauma is not high at all. So they will concede that that traumatic event happened. Let's just say you told a battle buddy, or you told a parent, you told a sibling, or a fellow soldier in your unit, and you swore them to secrecy. And now both of you all are out of the military, or you're out of the military, and they write a lay statement on your behalf saying this person shared this information with me. So those can be tricky. As a raider, I've actually denied some military sexual trauma because I couldn't grant, because the information wasn't there. That the veteran didn't understand the stressor, didn't understand the markers. But I've seen claims where they got denied, but then the veteran came back in with that information and they were able to get approved. So it's not always what we say is what we can prove in most cases, but there are some conditions out there that individuals can claim without documentation. So, for example, PTSD, due to fear of hostile military terrorist activity. You served in combat. When I rated, I wouldn't look at anything else. I'm requesting an exam. Based off that information, I'll confirm that they were in Afghanistan, Iraq, Saudi, Kuwait, somewhere like that. And then if it came back with positive opinion, I grant it. Now, if it came back with a negative opinion, then I'm like, okay, let me go look at these STRs, service treatment records, and see if they were treated for something. And a lot of times, I did that early on in my career. And then I was like, you know what? I'm doing double work. I'm extending that veteran's claim, because if it's something in those records and I didn't review them before the C&P exam, now I'm going to have to send that veteran back, and then that's going to take time, and it's going to draw the claim out.
Thank you for that.
All right. Good question. Reek. Good afternoon, Dwayne. Good afternoon to you, sir. I'm service connected at 80% for cervical stenosis, DDD, IVDS, right arm radiculopathy, left knee instability, bilateral ankle sprain, bilateral hip pain, deviated septum, and rhinitis. Part one. Can I submit a mental health claim for chronic pain secondary to service-connected musculoskeletal conditions? So I'm assuming you're saying you want to claim depression secondary to all your service-connected conditions, because now you can't live an active life like you did once before, like walking through the neighborhood with your wife or through the mall with your wife. You always have to take breaks. You had to sell your 2-story home because you needed a 1-story home because your ankles, knees, and hips, it was hard for you to get up to that second floor to your bedroom. Guess what, people? I just dropped a huge nugget. Hope you all caught it. Okay. Good evening from Killeen, Texas. Okay, I see you, Killeen. I used to live in Copper's Cove. Carlos, I claim for my I filed a claim for submitted a FOIA request for my CD, and VA told me they sent the CD, never received for the second time, and nothing. It's been 2 years. You got to request it again. Make sure you have contact 800-827-1000 and confirm that you have an updated address on file with them. I've seen that happen. Anthony Rivers, good evening, Dwayne. Ready to go for next week. I need all that knowledge. Okay, hey, I'm ready to go myself. Okay, because we've updated the majority of this PowerPoint not PowerPoint, but the slide. So I am super excited. You're gonna get some good, some new updated information, and it's gonna be awesome. I guarantee that. Okay. 12 hours, that is intense. Yes. Hey, right, you heard Mr. Cunningham say he going for 4 hours, and we're doing 12, but I'm gonna be doing it with somebody else. So we're gonna throw some breaks in there. So we're gonna take one of those 15-minute slots where we don't have a gas, and I'm gonna show maybe one of my 8-minute videos, and Mr. P Attack is going to show one of his 8-minute videos. Okay. So while we're here, everybody, make sure we get these likes up. If anybody got any questions about any of the upcoming events, I'll put some links in there. I'll put the link in there now in the comment section for the monthly Q&A. I'm not monthly Q&A, but the monthly veteran membership. Okay. Chris, Mr. Cunningham, what's up? Good to see you again. Okay. That was for you,
Thanks,
Rod.
Chris. Well,
Sarah, how far back do I need to go with medical records for presumptive conditions? Well, you're all based there, Sarah, because presumptive conditions, and I talk about this in the book. It's a diagnosis that's on a list. Like 1-year presumptives is under 38 CFR 3.309 subpart A. Tropical diseases for RVN, Agent Orange, is under 38 CFR 3.309 subpart E. And I think Camp Lejeune is 38 CFR 3.317, I believe. I don't remember right off the top of my head. So you got to have a location, a time frame for that particular presumptive, and a diagnosis. These are some of the easiest claims to win. But veterans, they lose out because they don't understand how to claim them. Current diagnosis, confirmation that you were in one of those locations, okay, and you file your claim. That's it. All right, so hi, Dwayne, Mr. Cunningham, Rod Cunningham, thank you for sharing Q&A. Not a problem. Again, people have got some questions for Mr. Cunningham. Got that event coming up on the 14th. El Hill, my name is Kimberly, and I applied for disability 2 months after discharge years ago, and I had a diagnosis listed for recurrent back pain secondary to gait, and my currently waiting high level review keeps denied. Okay, so you filed a claim 2 months. Back pain secondary to gait. Gait is not a service-connected condition. An abnormal gait is a symptom possibly of a back condition. Okay. So it sounds like you probably claimed that secondary condition wrong. But again, everyone understand whatever you're claiming. I talk about this in the book, whatever you're claiming, where does it fall under the 5 ways of service connection? A lot of people don't even know what the 5 ways of service connection is. During the event next week, we're doing a deep dive in it. I'm pretty sure we're going to get into it in the 12-hour event, but I'm going to go even deeper in the monthly veterans membership group. Okay, because it's important that you understand that, because that is the foundation. Because if you miss that step and you jump off in the process, things are good. You're just going to keep spinning your wheels, and it's going to keep getting denied. Okay, on VA Form 21-526EZ, Section 17, which I'm going to take a guess without reading the rest of the question. That's Section 17 on 526EZ as, have you received any treatment? Let's see if I'm right. Yep, about treatment of facilities. I've seen a video where you said do not put anything there. That was on the older form. Do I still not put anything on the new form as well? Khalib, I would say that would be up to you if you want to do it, because it's your form. But what I was saying in that video, when you put information there that you received this treatment from all these different individuals, now you just extended your claim about 6 months, because the VA is going to have to send you a VA Form 21-4142 medical release form. That puts your claim on hold for 30 days. Then you send it back. That doesn't mean somebody's going to look at it on that 31st day. It could be 45 or 60 days. Then they send it to the doctor. Your claim is on hold again for another 30 days. The doctor doesn't respond. Somebody at the VA doesn't look at it for another 45, 60 days. Then the VA sends you another correspondence. Your claim is on hold for another 30, 45 days. And guess what's in that letter? We did not receive a response from your examiner. It is your ultimate responsibility. So why not just go get the records yourself and submit it with the claim? You do it. You already did the intent to file. You heard Mr. Cunningham say 800-827-1000. Okay, get that intent to file. William, why did my CMP examiner say he had over 800 pages of my files during my CMP exam? Is this a good or bad thing? I can't answer that. I don't know why. He said 800 pages, but I tell you what, think about, is he going to go through those 800 pages? What if he only needs, he or she needs to see 2 or 5 of those pages? Okay. Mr. Kimball, how do I give to your organization? You could, underneath this video or any of my videos, I think it'll have like a little dollar sign. Somebody did leave a donation, and you click on that little dollar sign and it'll let you leave anywhere from, I think, like $2 up to 500, if I'm not mistaken. So do it that way, because it'll go to my nonprofit, where I'll always do something around Thanksgivings for individuals in the community, and goes to the scholarship fund, where I may donate even to another nonprofit that's doing scholarships or doing things for veterans. But also it'll go to one of my scholarships that I give out to people in low-income communities. Our homes, I was told today by a VSO that I can't use a Nexus letter because doctor isn't my primary care physician. Has something changed? No. Your VSO don't know what they're talking about. I hope you asked that VSO to show you the M21 manual reference and or the 38 CFR or even a court case. And people understand that's the difference between what I do and what most VSOs do. Not all VSOs are good. Not all attorneys are good. Not all people that are not claims agents or whomever are not good. You have to start asking some of these questions. Somebody asks you some, Mr. Holmes, hey, well, can you show me that 38 CFR? Can you show me that M21 manual reference? When you come to my channel and you watch my videos, 75% of the time, I'm not on there just bad mouthing the VA. I'm on there showing you slides to back stuff up. So if you go to a VSO lawyer, ask them, hey, well, can you show me the M21 manual reference or the 38 CFR that covers that, and explain it? Okay. Again, this is Mr. Cunningham's link. So again, people, if you have any questions for Mr. Cunningham about how he can help you share your story, if you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, becoming a motivational speaker, getting on stage, he is the person to reach out to. His event is April 14th. Rob, what time that event starts on the Sunday?
That event starts at, I think, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Eastern time. So you're going 4 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Sunday. So should be no excuse. You already got church out the way. You already got dinner out the way. And hopefully you don't eat too much so you don't get that itis. All right, Teddy, can't explain 3.102 CFR. I was denied service connection because examiner said my in-service injury was not continuing in treatment. So my current ankle condition is more likely because post-service without no evidence. Okay. So, Mr. Woodson, I don't know 38 CFR 3.102 right off the top of my head, but I will say this. In that notification letter, you could do, they give you an option of supplemental claim. And one thing that I tell veterans, even in service, especially in service, I talked about this in a video. Depending on what service you're in, I was in the Army, I was a combat unit. You're almost trained not to go to sick call. You're trained to suck it up, 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 suck it up. Now, when you get out, and also you're trained to roll your socks a certain way. You're trained to roll your t-shirts a certain way. So when you put it in that rucksack or duffel bag, you can put more stuff in it if you packed right. Okay. A lot of people still do that today because that's the way you were trained. So guess what? If you're still rolling your socks the same way, rolling your t-shirts the same way, when you pack to go on vacation, guess what else you're doing? You're not going to the doctor because you've been trained that way in the military. So that's the way that you have to explain it to that examiner. That's exactly what I did. And also, Mr. Wilson, that examiner is not the all in all. I've seen veterans go back 3 and 4 times with supplemental claims, and they eventually they win it. So, as my grandfather used to say, one monkey don't stop the show. So that one examiner don't stop the show. Okay. OD, hey, Dwayne, got your book. Hey, appreciate all the support and have been learning from your videos. Has moved me from 60 to 90%. Congrats. In a year, the goal is 100. Final strategy to use my sleep apnea and or TDIU to get there. Thank you. Be careful with TDIU. TDIU is not a standalone claim. It is a claim for increase for the conditions that you're stating prevent you from gainful employment. Be careful, OD. Be careful and understand what you are doing. Okay. Get in the veteran membership group and we'll do a deep dive on it. I promise you, you don't want to screw this up.
I was thinking the same thing, that he'd be a perfect person for the
monthly membership.
Yeah,
Yeah.
membership.
Don't jump off into that porch now. It's like you going to a Beyonce concert hoping you're gonna get front row tickets and you're gonna ask her out on a date and she's gonna say yes. It's gonna break your heart. Just that I've seen veterans with TDIU. I mean, just get in the group. OD, get in the group, and I promise
Tell them what TDIU means.
Individual unemployability. Now, on that form, and I can't remember which box, and I know I talked about this on the video. It asks service connected conditions. That's what they're looking at. When I rate it, that's what I'm looking for. Then I go to the rating code sheet to see if you're service connected and see if you meet scheduler. You meet scheduler, guess what I'm putting on that 2507 request? It's an increase. And if those percentages have been in effect less than 5 years, and you go to the exam and it shows improvement, proposal to reduce, IU denied. And I just talked about this in a video in the last month, what to do not to get reduced or something like that, about that whole 5-year period. Okay. I've seen it. All right. So here we go. Be one of our guests. Again, this is the link. If you want a 15-minute slot, we got 23 people. I'm going to check it tonight. And I just remember I got to send it to a client. So, and I forgot. So we got to get her a slot. Okay. Definitely make sure you come on. You're going to be on live. Like right now, it's going to be myself, David Piatak, and you. We got you a slot for your questions as well. Be one of our guests. Okay. Yep. Jim in Florida, 30% sinusitis, 30% sinusitis, 10% sinusitis, 40% fibromyalgia. Just tested positive for severe obstructive sleep apnea. Will that be hard to connect? Google that. I'm not a medical professional, but I've seen veterans get sleep apnea secondary to sinusitis. I'm assuming you mean allergic rhinitis, because you can't have a 30% for sinusitis and another 10%. That would be pyramiding. Keeping it real with credit, filed back claim 2014, denied supplemental claim, and CMP October 2023, denied again. HLR found duty to assist. Error, VA seeks new medical opinion, refers to 1423, the new CMP exam needed. Can I add new evidence? No. Now, you can add new evidence on high level review, but they're not going to consider it. But if they're going back saying there's a duty to assist error, that, could be a good thing. Okay. Now, I did a video on duty to assist. So make sure you go to my channel and check that out. And, and as an FYI for everyone, go to, when you go to my YouTube channel, I have over 400 videos. You can do a search for a particular topic, okay, for a particular topic, and that video more likely is going to come up if I done, depending on the topic that you're looking for. Okay. A lot of people say, do a video on this. Somebody asked me to say, do a video on 3 different things. Guess what? I've already done it. I could tell they hadn't went to my channel and did a search. Okay. What's going on, Traveling Terry? Great stuff here with these great folks. Terry, where you at? I know you probably was in California, then you drove to Hawaii. Terry be moving around. Okay, you are the bomb. Okay, your book arrived today. Okay, thanks for the support on the book. Greetings from 5 miles north in Riverview. Okay, Tammy, that is great. I would love to do that. Okay, now I saw somebody in here that I met this past week, and I hope I didn't blow over their question. I know I didn't. I was in Lowe's the other day in Riverview, Florida. And I was on the phone. Okay, here we go. I missed it. So I'm gonna go back. Okay. Alvin, me at okay. Me, yeah, this is who I met. And it was crazy, Rod, because I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and a gentleman was walking by. They have like the camouflage on if they, at Lowe's let you know they're a vet, right? So I'm on the phone, I'm looking for a universal remote for the garage door opener, right? And I said, hold on, D. I said, sir, I said, can you tell me where the garage door opener is at? And he was like, yeah, I like your YouTube channel. I'm subscribed to your YouTube channel. I was like, what? I said, so if I wasn't going to ask you the question, you was just going to walk right by me. He's like, no, you're on the phone. So we had a really good conversation. I told him I was going live, and he said he was going to come on tonight. So thank you, Alvin. I was met at Lowe's the other day. Did CMP exam for lower back, was given a diagnosis from examiner, but received a letter from VA after a month for ACE exam and received a confirmed to continue. So a confirmed to continue, it could be a confirmed to continue for denial. It could be a confirmed to continue to keep you at the same percentage. So Alvin, I think we did talk briefly about it. Think about the back condition and where does it fall under the 5 ways of service connection? Okay. Is it pre-service aggravation, direct, secondary? Obviously, it's not an increase. And more than likely, it's not a presumptive. Where does it fall under one of the 5 ways of service connection? And then, do you meet that criteria? If you meet the criteria, what evidence you're going to need? Okay, that's important. And I got off the topic of discussion today. I didn't even talk about it. I'll run through it a couple of minutes. Evidence that should you submit evidence with your claim? Answer is yes and no. Okay. It's going to depend on certain factors. One, what you're claiming. If it's a presumptive, you're going to need that diagnosis. Okay. So you're going to need some evidence. If it's tinnitus, you don't need any evidence unless you have evidence of treatment for tinnitus, because you're claiming it due to your MOS or somehow being exposed to acoustic trauma. More than likely, the VA will concede it. Okay. PTSD, that's going to be a toss-up. And here's the reason why. One is going to depend on how you're claiming it. So if you're claiming it due to fear, yeah, they're going to give you a CMP exam, but then that mental health provider, based on what you tell them, they may even give you a diagnosis of PTSD. Okay. I would say 10 years ago, no, you don't need any evidence. Now, at least at a minimum, already have a diagnosis. So evidence. Another thing is, people, this is your claim. But if you turn around and you submit 1,000 pieces of paper, if I was still rating, I wouldn't look at that. The reason why, I'm on a quota. I don't have time to go through all that. Now, you have management to say, oh, they're supposed to do it. They're not on a quota. They're not going to fire themselves. So that could be a bad move. And that is how your claim ends up in that VA cloud. And it's like a can, and it just keeps getting kicked down the road. So also, just don't go to your private doctor and get all this evidence and then just shove it to the VA. Because guess what? If it's information in there and it's for another condition and that condition and it shows improvement, you might have some problems depending on the rater that's looking at it. So with evidence, one, be very careful of what evidence you submit. Invest the time, go through the evidence yourself, take out what you need, and then submit that if you decide to submit evidence. But a lot of veterans make the mistake, oh, I'm gonna send them everything. You know, I see YouTube videos, people say, oh, I watched this video. And they said, send this, and this. They're not rating the claim. Somebody else is. And if you have 3,000 pages of stuff, I guarantee they're not looking at it because it's going to take 2 days and that's going to put them behind on their quota. Invest the time, go through it, pull out what you need, and submit it with your claim. It is simple as that. Now, if you want to submit 2,000 or 3,000 pages, go ahead. But when you come back on this platform, Dwayne, hey, I submitted 5,000 pages and it's been a year ago and I still haven't received a decision. There you go. Okay. But Alvin, it was a pleasure meeting you in Lowe's. Glad that you showed up tonight. Don't forget about the links for the monthly membership. We're over an hour. I'm going to go through right quick to see if we have any questions for Rod. I don't see any.
Make sure you really explain that monthly membership, because I don't think people really understand, how valuable that is for, again, I always go back to when I was searching 2 years before I retired. I was searching early, right? Looking and couldn't find anything. And for you to be able to, for them to come to one place and get the information that they need, and you're going to come in and do a special session just for the folks in your group once or twice a month. I mean, that's incredible. So just make sure you really tell them what they're getting.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because people are going to say, oh, well, why should I join that when I can get this information free on the YouTube? Because there's no other raters on YouTube talking about this. I know of one, and I guarantee you people don't even know their website. Not the website, but the YouTube channel. 2, I'm going to be talking about some stuff on YouTube, but not the way it's being talked about on YouTube. It's a difference. Okay. So unless somebody actually rated, got errors, was able to grant 100%, SMCs all the way up to R1, these are things that we're going to be talking about. Yeah, we're going to be talking about some SMCs as well, especially monthly compensation. So the things that I learned in training as a VA rater, these are things I'm going to be doing a deep dive. And we have somebody here that says, hello, RVSR here, ready to keep learning. So Elena, I'm assuming that's Elena. So quick question for you, Elena, before I get off, just share with people, I don't know where you're at month wise, but just share with people, are you on a quota? What probably the number one, the hardest thing that you came across as an RVSR? Just if you could just share a response to those 2 questions. So for those of you to say, oh, I can get this online on YouTube. No, you can't. Even watching my 400 videos, you can't, because I'm not going that deep. I used to do videos like 25, 27 minutes trying to give you all the information. People weren't staying on that long. So I dropped down to 15 minutes. And now I'm down to try to get around 8 to 10. So when I go live, I'm giving you a block of instruction. And it may seem boring, but this is stuff that you are going to need to know. So when you start submitting these prescribed claim forms, you're going to understand what you're submitting. When you fill out that 8940 for that IU, you are going to understand it. Presumptive conditions, we are going deep into it. All right. That's going to be the difference. All right. So
can you put the link in for the monthly membership?
Yeah, I'll put it in again. I had it in there. I was putting it in there when you were talking as well. So it's been in there several times. Okay. So also again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go live again this month, um, so I can give people a little bit more time to ask some questions. So don't worry about it if you didn't get your question answered tonight. So Liz says pyramiding happens when evaluating different conditions with the same symptoms. And if you look in the rating schedule, 38 CFR Part 4, at the beginning of each body system, it'll break out. It'll tell you, hey, basically, do not combine these, or combine them, but give the highest, um, assign the condition that has the highest percentage. So if you have one like sinusitis, I think it goes up to maybe 60, maybe 100, but then allergic rhinitis only goes up to 30. All right. So something like that, even though those could be broken out, but if you get something where they have to be combined, they're going to give you the highest, they're going to assign the highest one of the two. Because if it gets worse, you can always go in for an increase if you're not maxed out. All right. So I'm going to go through, I just want to see what Ms. Leah. Yes, there is a lot of dollars on secondary that they don't claim. Yep. See a fellow raider right there giving it to you. Liberalizing law claims go effective date change of law if claimed within a year or a year prior date of claim if you have diagnosed the condition prior to the date. She is exactly right. So what I was telling that individual earlier, liberalizing law, okay? And I don't know that 38 CFR because the only time that I did that was back in August of 2010 when they added 3 conditions to 38 CFR 3.309 subpart E for Vietnam veterans, and one of those were ischemic heart disease. That's what it was. There was a lot of those, and then after that year, when veterans came in after that year and they had a diagnosis, we had to use liberalizing law to go back for that whole year. So thank you, Elena. I want to say, I hope I'm pronouncing. Am I not pronouncing that right, Rod? Elena.
It's Alana.
Alana. Okay. Ms. Baker, thank you for the support. Thanks for all your time and educating us. Ms. Baker has been a loyal supporter for probably going on 3 years. When I used to do the town hall events, she was in every town hall event. A client, she's always on the live streams. So Ms. Baker, thank you for all the support. She's actually supported with the book, bought some books. Also, I gave away 5 books for the first 5 people that signed up. Ms. Baker is going to give her book away to someone. So I will give it away next week, or maybe during the 12-hour live stream that I do on the 20th. Okay. Just going through right quick, Rod, to see if we have any questions for you. This is information from Mr. Okay, wait a minute. Tammy says, I missed the information for Mr. Cunningham. I heard that every Thursday. So you want to go, you want to explain right quick, Mr. Cunningham, the Thursday information? You're on mute. You're on mute.
She said she actually heard the Thursday information. So she's talking
Oh.
about what is it that I do. So basically, we run a boutique publishing company where we help you from the idea stage all the way to creating your own book, publishing that book, and then getting on stage to tell your story. And our clients are getting paid $5,000 or more to tell their story on stage. And the story we want you to tell is your life story, right? Some people say, well, I grew up with both parents, I don't have a story. Well, if somebody passed away who you love, you have a story. If you've ever been rejected, you have a story. If you've ever been traumatized, you have a story. So even if you have great parents and they're still together. And so there's 10 million people who want to know how you got through that. And so we want to get you in front of those people with your book as well as your speaking, so that you can teach others how did you overcome the things that happened in your childhood.
All right. Thank you for that. Also, Ms. Baker has a question for you, Rod.
Was that, does the service provide a person to review your manuscript? Yes, you actually are assigned a coach. You are assigned a writing coach who's going to walk you through the process, because we go through phases. And phase one, you're assigned a coach that's going to help you create the manuscript as well as review the manuscript. And then in phase two, before we go to publishing, we'll actually do your editing for you, the different types of editing that we do: developmental editing, line editing, copy editing, and proofreading. All will be done by 4 different eyes that work in our company to help you make sure that manuscript and that book is elevated.
Right. Thank you for that, Rod. I think, and also let's make sure we get these thumbs up. I thought I had another donation I want to give.
Yes, you have
Uh,
another donation from Live Global.
okay. I want to scroll down and make sure I don't miss any questions for you. So this is some information Mr. Cunningham put in the comment section. Okay. Okay. I think this is somebody I used to work with at a company here in Florida. I recognize the name. I'll just say if it is this person, 2 words, cocoa butter. All right. Live Global, thank you. Thank you for the donation. I really, really appreciate it. Uh, thanks so much. And thanks for the raider that came on. I really thank you for doing that, having the courage to do that. I hope you're meeting that production quota. When I first started as a raider, it was monthly. Now it's before I retired, it was every 2 weeks. So I hope you are doing well with that. I would love to interview you, but if not, I definitely understand because some things have changed, but you can provide a really good perspective. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and close it out. I will go live again this month because I know I didn't get to more questions that I normally do. But Mr. Cunningham, thank you for coming on this evening. I know that your event is going to be a success. So again, people, I've written my first book. I'm going to have a surprise for people this year. I'm not going to tell you what that surprise is. I talked about it, but it's going to be better than before. That's all I'm going to say about it. But again, your story could help someone else, but you have to understand that back piece. I know Mr. Cunningham, he helped me with some stuff, especially during the KDP piece of it. And I think when he helped me with that, and the difference between him and some other information that I was getting, where people are going to try to charge you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for marketing. Don't do it. You have to be able to, you got to understand that marketing piece. And a lot of you have purchased my book. And that's a lot of that is just for marketing that me and my little team did, but you just like the VA claims process, you have to invest the time to understand, get educated. Okay. It's not hard to do, but someone like Mr. Cunningham and his team can put you on the right path. Because when I was going to Amazon KDP, he was like, don't do this, don't do that, don't check that box. If you check that box, there's gonna be a problem for you.
Exactly. And that was the thing too, that the fact that we're actually publishing your second book.
I'm
Right.
sorry,
So
say that again.
that we're actually publishing your second book,
Yeah. So
the one you're currently working.
I wasn't going to tell him that. That's
Oh,
what I
yeah.
was surprised. You didn't let the cat out the bag, right?
You got to tell me these
Yeah.
things, right? You got to tell me
Yeah.
is zip. I'm also publishing former Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. I'm publishing his book as well.
Okay.
A
Okay.
couple of state senators, a lot of PhDs, a lot of retired executives, and folks like that are joining. Medical doctors as well, because a lot of people had to go through some things to get to the
Get that.
success that they have, and now they're ready to share it.
Right. Right. Okay. Somebody says, Jim, just from looking at your YouTube. So, that's what it was. Thanks for the information. Went from non-compensation to 60% in 6 months. Just looking at the YouTube. Mr. Henry never called me on the phone, never talked, never became a client. That's how powerful the videos are. And guess what? That monthly membership is going to get you from 60 to 100. Okay. Because if those videos did it and I'm going even deeper in the membership. And I'm excited about this membership because it's going to be interactive. I'm not just going to be on there just doing all the talking. When y'all ask me a question, see my claims file back there? When you ask me a question, when we get live or in the group, you need to have that on your desk because I'm gonna be asking you to pull some stuff out of it. Okay. So again, for the month of April, this month, 50% off. And if you're in the group for a year or two, it's going to be that price. After May 1st, it's going back to full price. I'm going to put the link for you again in the chat. I'm sorry, in the comment section. Okay. So make sure you get signed up. If you got questions about it, feel free to shoot me an email, info@kmd89.com, info@kmd Kilo Mike Delta 89.com. So thanks everyone for showing up. Mr. Cunningham, thank you for coming on, sharing your information. Again, thank you for what you do for veterans and let me be a part of your Thursday group. And again, I know your event on the 14th, Sunday the 14th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is going to be a huge success. So definitely appreciate it. Everyone, have a good rest of your evening.